How's it going, everyone? There's a country out there that is moving to EV so fast, so fast. Some are calling it the electric shock or electric shocked. Anyway, Norway. 88% of new cars sold in Norway are electric vehicles, which is pretty insane. The beautiful country of Norway actually passed 50% mark in 2020, which is a big deal, of course, because, get this, their biggest moneymaker is oil and gas. So it is quite interesting. According to the Norwegian Road Federation, electric cars in the whole country accounted for 79% of new passenger car registrations. If you include a plug-in hybrid, get this, it goes up to 87%, almost 90%. Here's a nice chart by Statista, sourced by the Norwegian Road Federation. Wow, pretty amazing move by Norway. Now let's look at this chart by Reuters. This is going up to 2021. So in 2021, it was 65%. Now it's skyrocketing. Now it's even way higher. Who's the big winner in Norway? Well, it's actually Tesla. Tesla Model 3 was the single most popular model of the year in Norway in the past year, way ahead of Toyota's hybrid RAV4, which was the only one in the top 10 EVs sold in Norway that actually had any kind of internal combustion engine. With all this success, actually, the Norway industry representatives said, according to Reuters, that they expect even higher sales in the rest of the year, as much as 80%. Here's another chart breaking it down. Wow, look at the rapid decline of diesel only. And of course, petrol. Again, you got to remember that Norway is a tiny country, has about 5.4 million people, so it's a lot easier to uptake EVs. Not only that, but the government actually gives a massive amount of tax incentives to help drive this uptake of EVs. The United States EVs, excluding the hybrids, accounted for only 2.6% of car sales last year. So that is way less than Norway. This is what makes the Norwegian uptake on EVs kind of interesting, and if anything, a little bit ironic. The reason why is because the vast wealth of the country, of course, is obtained through its massive amounts of oil reserves. That, of course, what do they do with that stuff? They turn around and they sell it. That's, well, yeah, it's interesting. So this combination of the country's wealth, right, using policy measures, Norway imposes hefty vehicle import duties and car registration taxes. It's expensive there, very expensive in Norway. So making cars significantly more expensive than in most other countries. So yeah, it's very expensive to have a car in Norway. So by getting rid of these fees via the tax incentives that they put forth for the EV uptake, this creates a massive wave towards the electric vehicle market. So essentially Norway is subsidizing the purchase of these electric vehicles for the average Joe in Norway. And this is something that most countries can't afford to do. Norway is a wealthy country because of the oil reserves. That's what's pretty ironic. Apparently, they also added free parking as part of the tax incentive to an EV car, which is, hey, that's pretty good. Norway's a small place. You go into the city, free parking, why not? It would be a tempting proposition even to the most hardcore internal combustion engine enthusiasts. There is one key thing that makes Norway's power, right? The way they produce electricity for the electric vehicles and for the homes, of course. One thing that makes it that much better than most other places. And that's the fact that the country's electricity almost exclusively comes from hydropower. Driving an electric vehicle in Norway is probably the cleanest way you're ever going to get electricity compared to other countries who are mostly relying on coal. Germany, for example, they just upped their intake on coal. Dirty coal. Norway just became Germany's single largest natural gas supplier. They just beat out Russia. Speaking of which, Norway being a wealthy country, this is another way they're able to subsidize all these things, right? So now Norway is providing basically a third of the gas to Germany. This is a big deal. And again, this adds to the wealth of Norway. Lithium, again, big money in lithium, mostly because it's getting completely subsidized. But of course, it's not exactly very green. Hurts the communities where it's done, all these questions about it, but the world we live in right now. Will internal combustion engines go extinct in Norway? I mean, what happens if all the power goes out? I don't know. It's pretty interesting. They are very low. The sales are very low. Now, there is an estimate as to how much money the government is spending to subsidize all these purchases, right? It's a big chunk of change. The finance ministry estimates, right? According to Reuters, it says, well, tax exemptions to help cut emissions of greenhouse gases, they cost the state, they cost the government in Norway $3.41 billion. That is a lot of money. That's how much money the state is basically giving up to help push the EV. $3.41 billion per year. That was last year. So it actually might get even higher as time goes by if things don't come down in price. So that's pretty interesting. The government does have plans to start gradually taxing the most expensive electric vehicles starting this year. But at the same time, despite only a tiny small fraction of vehicles being sold are petrol, diesel, gasoline, and hybrids, those taxes are rising even faster. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye out on this. It's a country with the highest uptake. Pretty wild for Norway. Anyways, I hope you guys liked the video. Thanks for watching. Smash a like if you haven't. Please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Maybach music. Can anybody out there hear me? Hear me?